character's name is Kai.
Okay.
I'm wild. I'm a lion.
Okay, so the basic furry is just someone who likes anthropomorphic animal art, drawings, costumes, stories. Think Zootopia, but a little bit further into it.
Yeah, pretty much just a bunch of creative people who want to express themselves with anthropomorphic animals.
So a fursona is obviously a play on words of the word persona, and it has different meanings for different people. For the furry fandom specifically, there's three major groups that I've noticed, and there's people like me who see it as an extension of their own personality. This is like a character that I came up with that sort of represents me. The other group is people that see it as an alternate identity, sort of. People that can express themselves via, like, through this aspect of their personality. They may have like a fox that's more outgoing or more comfortable to talk to people or more charismatic. Others are something I like to call, or that are known as Farins, which is very similar to the idea of like Native Americans' connection to like a spirit animal, or they feel like they are themselves an animal trapped in a human's body. It is kind of odd, but I don't really judge people for it, but that tends to be the group that a lot of mass media outlets tend to pay attention to because it just seems very odd. So my persona it started off as a gray fox, but with the furry fandom, you'll find that most generic animals are pretty much all but taken. So the idea is individuality. So you'll find a lot of people combining animals or coming up with new species altogether. One very interesting one is actually a Dutch angel dragon, which is actually being very popular lately. I recommend you Google it. But this was actually, like I said, started with a gray fox, but I was in a biology course one day and we were watching something that had a snow leopard in it, and I really liked the spots on it, and I thought I'd combine the two, so ended up being a snow leopard and a fox combined. So
It's just a white lion. It's pretty much just me with a mask on. I usually insult people a fair amount, but that's normal anyway. There's really no difference. I just was like, oh hey, I'm gonna make this character on a whim one day so I can get more money, and I did.
Well, actually, when I started this out, I was really into, actually I wasn't even into it, honestly. I was, what am I doing? Oh. I was with my cousin in, I think, high school, and she was really into anime. And we would draw comics back and forth with each other.
What a nerd.
Shut up. And she showed me the show Inuyasha, which honestly I don't really care for, but I did like the idea of having like animal ears and tails, and that was like a feature of the many characters there.
I was a broke college student. I was willing to sell out. It's literally just a booster to my paycheck. I make like $400 a pop for an illustration.
Wow.
I love money.
To make these, you actually have to make a duct tape dummy, which is basically wear a painter suit, then you wrap duct tape all the way around it, and then cut it out, and then send it off as like a reference, basically.
Wow.
Oh, and that is such a bitch to do.
It's like falling off my head.
Like I said, it's an art genre, so everyone's got their own sort of style, but there tends to be this big spectrum between cartoony-looking suits and hyper-realistic ones. And in my opinion, if it's on either extreme, it gets kind of either really creepy or really scary, depending on if you're really cartoony-looking or realistic. But that being said, most, including me, like to try to get it a little bit in between. So, also, this thing to include is there's such thing as plantigrade versus digigrade legs. Mine's got that little bend in it to have a little more realistic, and I always like that. You can get plantigrade, which is just a human leg with a giant foot on the end of it, which again is a bit more toony. Honestly, it's a bit easier to walk around in, but I just think these look cooler. So.
I know most people tend to buy them. I bought mine. I actually have like 2 other suits. I'm getting another one soon. So, I mean, they're pretty expensive.
Didn't you actually trade art for yours?
Yeah, so in the furry fandom, sometimes artists can get very, very popular. So that's what causes my art to sell, because I'm actually fairly popular. I'm furry famous, which is pretty much like, well, I don't want to say it. It's like sitting at the best spot at the nerdy table in the cafeteria. So it's not big, but it gets me money. So yeah.
I had to save up $2,000 for it.
Wow.
And that was with a discount because my friend Wild over there actually did some art for someone and they gave me a discount. And it was originally costed about $2,500.
Wow.
And they were actually my second choice. My first choice was this company called Clockwork Creatures, which actually do like movie style, like legit, costumes. And I think, well, if I remember correctly, the quote from them was $5,600.
It takes me a few times to put on my head.
Yeah, so every time someone says, "Oh, you'll have sex in this," I'm like, "No, I do not put this
Fuck
much effort."
that. Ew,
And,
babe.
well, see, from what I can tell,
Yeah.
there's a fetish called plushophilia,
That's
and that's a thing. Which to each their own.
I was reading all of that before we came to do this,
Yeah.
just so I was kind of
To
To each
aware
their
of
own, but
things.
then
And,
No.
it's like that means they like anything fuzzy or fluffy. So naturally, they're gonna like furries. But unfortunately, media is like, "Oh, they're all into that." I'm like, no.
No, that shit's fucking nasty.
I'm not gonna do it in this.
I would never associate with somebody who did that. 'Cause they're
it just seems like it would
gross.
be hot.
Seems like, whatever floats your boat, but keep it in a closed space and don't
Do you
tell me
remember
about
Matt?
it, because then we can't be friends.
Do you remember Matt? He said he was like willing to try it until he tried it on a fursuit. He says, "No, never."
Yeah. Politely, it's all right. There's a few of them. Actually, in North Carolina, I used to be the head of Carolina Furries, which is an organization of furries. North Carolina has over 500 furries in it. Most of them are in Raleigh.
Wow.
There's quite a few in Asheville and Charlotte. Greensboro has some, but I know they used to be active. They're not as active anymore, but there's a ton. They go to meets, get coffee, go bowling, go to trampoline parks, laser tag. I mean, it's just pretty chill. There used to be one in Knoxville called FangCon, but it moved to Birmingham.
Okay.
I was actually the guest of honor at FangCon this past year, and I got to do a bunch of art from them. But the major convention is Anthrocon. Everybody goes to that one. It's up in Pittsburgh. It's nice. I make a lot of money at them. It's great.
It's a little light at the moment. We there used to be a lot at UNCG, but unfortunately a lot of them graduated. And as you've seen with my friend there, there's this stigma associated with furries. So a lot of people, especially in North Carolina, like in southern states, they don't really want to be out and about with it. So you'll get a bunch of people that they're furries, but being where they're at, they don't want to, dress up or be open about it necessarily because of the stigma attached to it. And that's kind of the same case with UNCG. See, I'm actually only doing this because it's my senior year and I'll be graduating, so I figured I'd have some fun with it before I leave. Otherwise, I'd be a bit more conscious about it. Like what the stigmas are. Or, Whew, give me a second. These things get very hot, by the way. But I can actually, the history of it is actually furries. There used to only be one convention around. It was in California, and I just know the history on this because I actually had to write a paper on it once. But the people that ran the convention there were more concerned about getting money rather than what they were actually doing. So they marketed it as some kind of like sexual adult con, basically. So you had people coming from everywhere, getting them a lot of money, but it gave this negative annotation to what furries were. And that's kind of actually how I started the UNCG Furries group, is to kind of like get away from these stigmas and misconceptions. Unfortunately, being at this college that's so open-minded, people who think it is something sexual are like, "Oh, good for you," and I have to be like, "Oh, thanks," but I have to explain to them that that's not what it is. But they've actually started marketing fursuit sprays, which is like they're scented one way or the other. And I swear to God, for Halloween they had pumpkin spice fursuits.
Wow.
I was like, "Are you kidding?"